and Psoriasis webinar. Um, we're more than happy to be here and talk about this very important issue. This is only for women, so really, girls, feel free to ask anything you'd like. We would be happy to answer any question. My name is Shirley, and I'm the head of support services in Seven Chairs organization. And with me is Alisha.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alisha Bridges. I have lived with severe plaque psoriasis for over 2 decades now, and I am so happy to be here to talk to Seven Chairs and all the ladies out there about dating and living with psoriasis.
Yes, and actually we are presenting this issue because it's been, really interesting people. Of course, women and men as well, but we dedicate this meeting for women only, so we could address, specific issues. In Seven Chairs, we offer chat-based support groups. These groups are facilitated by professional facilitators, and we help people actually with psoriasis to talk about their issues, their challenges, their day-to-day functions and problems, so that people really can be together in the same boat, getting support from each other. And our experience is great with psoriasis patients. People really happy to to assist each other, to share their experience, and with chat-based, people expose themselves easily because they cannot be seen. It's only text. So you're more than welcome to pull up a chair anytime you'd like and join our groups. So let's begin.
Yes.
Great. So, first of all, we have to say that 50% of people in the US are single. So, we are quite a lot of us are single, and it's not really strange or non-common. Being single is still a stigma, even in the 2019. There is still an exception and a cultural norm, expectation and a cultural norm to be in a relationship, stay monogamous, get married, have kids, and balance all this with a career. People always are looking for love. So it's true that there is maybe an expectation and some pressure, but I have to tell you that it doesn't matter because people are still looking for relationship. Right, Alisha?
Yes. So I am a single woman. I've been married before and divorced 3 years ago. And let me tell you, dating is already a difficult task. But when you have a visible chronic condition like psoriasis, it definitely adds an extra layer of a challenge. So I've had an interesting time navigating my singleness and also finding the love of my life with my condition. And I know a lot of ladies out there can definitely relate to that when they're living with a visible disease like psoriasis.
Great. So I think you could give us a lot of your experience, so we could, use it for other people and assist others to do the best they can to find their loved ones, as you mentioned.
Definitely.
Yeah. So most of us actually are looking for a relationship. Actually, research from a dating website shows that people are still looking for a relationship rather than just sexual encounters. Most people are looking for something, for someone they have something in common with, and not only looking for someone who they are attracted to. Okay, so around 40% of successful relationship are from websites, from dating websites, which is great. I think it's great news, but still, I think it's encouraging us to remember that not all people are getting to know their loved one in the website. So you do have to think about getting out of the internet as well, going out for pubs, for parties, and even getting to know others from your friends and family members.
So I definitely agree with that, especially the part about getting off online dating websites and getting out into the real world, so to speak, and to meet your possible love of your life. So right now I'm so like anti-dating websites because I have not had a lot of success with them. And so my goal right now is to meet people more authentically. So doing things that I love, like volunteering, that's a great place to meet people, or going to certain events or certain concerts. So I'm learning just doing things that I love to do and meeting people at those events. You automatically meet people that you have something in common with. Now, the dating websites also have, you know, the pros and the cons. Now, dating websites are really quick. You know, you can meet someone in a matter of minutes. That's not always the best thing, because sometimes those type of encounters lack substance. But the other thing that I really like about dating sites is you have the opportunity to tell people right up front about your chronic condition if you so please. Now, my situation is a little bit different because I'm a psoriasis advocate, and psoriasis is a huge part of my life. So a lot of times in my bio, I will say I'm a psoriasis advocate, and then they'll ask, well, what's that? And I'm able to kind of talk about my condition right from the beginning. But that might not necessarily be the right route for everyone. So you kind of got to find what you're most comfortable with.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's amazing because, you know, ideally, I think being a psoriasis advocate, it's amazing because it means you accept the condition, that you love yourself the way you are, that you understand there are imperfections like everyone else, but you feel very open and free about it. But of course, people, you know, maybe those who just been diagnosed find it more difficult to accept it in themselves, and of course, when going out for a date. So it's definitely what you said, everyone does it in their own pace. And only the way they feel, you know, comfortable, whether they would like to say it up front at the beginning or wait a little bit. In our groups, I did see that some people are struggling with the question of when to, you know, say the word psoriasis. So it's definitely personal, but I will tell you something about the dating sites, Alisha. It's true that, you know, some people can, you know, get like 500 others male addressing them, but it's not, you know, being popular. You need only one. So even if, you know, sometimes dating, you know, in the website can, you know, exhaust you, can be tedious. It's very important to understand you don't have to be popular. You just have to find someone with similarity and common ground, and it's enough, 1, 2, no need for 500. Being popular doesn't really mean that you'll be really dating, you know, a successful mate. Okay, so great. Yeah,
that's a great point. I remember when I was in my I was about 19, early 20s, and I went off to college, and that's when I really started to date, because I really hadn't had that experience in high school, and it was really overwhelming to date with psoriasis. And at that time, I was 90% covered. I was not openly talking about my psoriasis. So honestly, it caused a lot of anxiety. And some of those exact points that you talked about being afraid to speak up about it, or not knowing exactly when to tell the person about your condition, although they can see it. I remember later having conversations with my ex-husband when we were dating about how he felt when he first found out that I was living with psoriasis. And he said, you know, I always kind of seen some spots on your hands and on your neck. He was like, but I wasn't exactly sure what it was. And he had never heard of psoriasis before meeting me. So although I'm in this place now, it's taken almost a decade to get here. So if you are not in this place and you're still nervous about talking about your condition to a date or speaking up, it's completely normal. And when you have a visible condition, you're definitely going to experience these type of fears. So you're totally normal if you have those type of feelings. I've been there, trust me.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why we are here to talk for those people, you know, who also struggle with dating. And those people are not feeling very, especially women, of course, are not feeling very comfortable with their body, and will give, attention to all of those issues. And of course, we'll even elaborate in other webinar. Okay, so great. Let's continue, Alisha. So first of all, dating in the internet, we will understand its psychology a bit, and then we will talk about living with psoriasis and dating. We'll get more specific. So first of all, we have the paradox of choice, because we have too many options that lead to increased chances that we will regret and will be confused and ending in no choice at all. This is a real problem in the dating world today, in the thousands and hundreds of people using websites that enable dating, online dating. And of course, the paradox of choice can make it a bit harder. That's why, it's usually suggested not to choose from a large number of people. Choose from a, small quantity, and then, decrease your pool, and then you'll increase your chances to find someone suitable for you. People tailor their dating profile so that they appear to have perfect lives. We usually try to put our best selves in the website, not talking about anything that is negative or otherwise than perfect. And this is also a bit leading, because people don't really know you, and you cannot really be upfront and be honest. And for dating, what is needed is being confident and having high self-esteem, positive attitude toward your own body, and strong self-awareness. Can you elaborate on those, Alisha?
Yes. The need for dating, when we talk about confidence, high self-esteem, positive attitudes towards our own body, and strong self-awareness, can be extremely difficult when you're living with a visible condition like psoriasis. I have had feelings that no one would love me. I have had feelings of I'm not good enough. I've had feelings that I'm not attractive, and all of those things I have had to work to overcome. And what I've learned in my dating experience is a person who's meant for you will be able to see past all of your flaws. And if they love you, a lot of what you think is a flaw, they won't even consider as a flaw. Me and my ex-husband are really, really great friends, even though we figured out that we were not compatible for marriage. And one of the things that he's always said to me is that he has never seen my psoriasis. Like, it's never been a big deal to him. All the flakiness and the bleeding and the dry skin, it was never an issue for him. He never seen it. So my point in saying that is that love is possible. And even sometimes when you feel like you don't have the confidence or the high self-esteem, as long as you are trying your best to work on those things, a person who is meant for you will be able to work with you through those issues, and they will add to your confidence and self-esteem. They will not take away. And anybody who is not able to love you regardless of your flaws, whatever you consider as flaws, then they're just not meant for you. I definitely suggest working on your confidence, though, in spite of your visible condition. And sometimes it can be really hard and really difficult, but you have to fight those feelings. And if you have to fight it through getting in support groups, like through 7 Chairs, so you can see that you're not alone, making sure that you're active with your treatments and doctor visits, and just also giving yourself affirmations and just being loving to yourself. When you're loving to yourself, that will block out other people who won't be loving, because they see that you have the confidence and the love for yourself. So that's just something to remember as you're trying to navigate this disease while dating.
Definitely. And Alisha, so many people in the dating world, even if they don't have psoriasis or any other skin condition or any medical condition that can be shown, definitely have problems with their body and with their personality. Everybody deal with something. Nobody's perfect.
Correct.
And we sometimes people who suffer and who deal with psoriasis all their life, as you mentioned, deal with a lot of confidence issue, self-esteem issues, attitudes toward body issues. And of course, this is not the first time they are dealing with that, right? When they are dating, it's been there all the time. So I see it as another channel to challenge yourself with your confidence and body and self-esteem, and take it as an opportunity, as a way, you know, to win that in another direction. And, you know, in total, having the psoriasis journey as a positive one. And I think you said it right, that and it's very important to emphasize everything you mentioned about feelings. Everything is great, you know, even if you're anxious or worried, even if you are, you know, thinking of what other people are thinking about me, you are preoccupied with it. This is your chance to work through those feelings. Do not hide them. Do not, you know, as you mentioned, share them with other people. Don't be alone. You know, you probably have a support group, a support, you know, supportive family, friends, somebody that you can ask and get some direction, and, you know, and also think a bit differently about the issue. You know, you mentioned to do it your own way, Alisha, and I think it's amazing, and I think you're a role model in that way. And I'm sure people, you know, will be inspired by your story, because it's only a matter of how you think. It's all in the mind, after all. It's how you think about yourself.
100%. I actually just finished reading a book called The Untethered Soul, and it's like a lot about self-awareness and pushing through uncomfortable moments. And it talked a lot about how we always remain comfortable, and so we can learn so much by pushing through those uncomfortable moments. And when you have a new partner, in any partner, it doesn't have to be a new partner, it could be a new partner or old partner, be vulnerable. Be honest about your feelings. A lot of times, especially as women, we kind of expect people to just know. We expect people to just guess what it is that we're feeling. But in the last 2 years, I've learned to be a lot more direct with my feelings. So if I'm feeling a little bit insecure, or if I'm feeling anxious about my condition, I had a boyfriend this year. We're not together anymore, but I would tell him, hey, I'm doing this because I feel a little bit insecure about my psoriasis.
Right.
And give someone a chance to be there for you. And then you can also see whether they are worth your time, because if they're not being vulnerable, if they're not being emotionally supportive, and you're giving them the opportunity to do so, then you know that they're not meant for you. If they're not willing to learn how to emotionally support you, then they're not meant for you. So just remember, being vulnerable, if that person rejects you, it doesn't mean that anything is wrong with you. It just means that they're not the person that is meant to be in your life.
Sure. And before we go to a very important question we have here from Rapid, I'd like to say something about it. Very important, Alisha, that you mentioned it. I think that people with psoriasis have gone through so much, and it just made you, you know, deeper, and you're looking for the right thing in life, and, you know, your proportion are different from people who are not dealing with anything, your thought, your awareness. And I think this would make, you know, the search even better, and the finding even better, because you'll find someone like you that can think deep, can think, you know, wide, that doesn't look at people only in material way. So I think it gives you even an advantage, because all this journey you've been going through.
I totally agree. And for me, as I date, I cannot date shallow people. So that's like one of my deal breakers. Anybody who comes off as shallow, or they body shame people, that is not a person for me. And so I've learned that men who have been accepting of my condition, which I would say most men that I've dated have been very accepting of it, they tend to be a lot more compassionate and understanding. And so it has to be a person who looks at beauty that's more than skin deep, that actually looks at you as a person. I just can't do shallow people, because I have a condition that shallow people just don't understand, or that society doesn't understand, because society expects you to have this flawless skin and to look perfect. So anybody who has those type of beliefs is not a person for me. And so that's just what I've learned through this journey.
Yeah, Alicia, and I take from what you said the most important sentence, that most men did not really care about your
Nope.
condition. And you said it out loud, and you know, women should hear you say that most men are feeling comfortable with psoriasis. It's only, and we will talk about it in a minute, how to, you know, how to deal with it when you are dating. But it's great news, Alicia.
What I realized in the last 12 years of dating and being in relationships, that a lot of the insecurities I had was all in my head. It wasn't necessarily what anyone had said or done to me. Like 80% of it was me and just my insecurities and fears of what people would think. But as I've grown into my advocacy and letting people know about my disease, you realize how much people can relate to you, even men that you date. A lot of insecurities that other people have, you can't necessarily see it, so you don't know. But people are dealing with all types of issues, and you realize that once you share yourself and you express yourself to people, that they understand and they get it. And for those who don't, I don't worry about those people who don't get it, because out of one person who doesn't understand, who rejects me, no lie, there's like 50 others who do love and accept me and are okay with my disease. So that's something that I have to remember when I encounter tough situations with people when it comes to my condition.
Exactly. So if we address this question from Rapid, I am a new dating. How and when is the best time to tell when you have psoriasis? Before a date, on the first date, or in several dates? What would you recommend? And I do suggest others, you know, to write even more questions. What would you say, Alisha?
So that is a really great question, and it really all depends on your comfortability. For some people, you may be able to express it on the first date. For someone else, it may take a couple of dates. What I initially did when I first met my husband, my ex-husband, when I was very uncomfortable with the disease, I would play something called the question game. So I think it went something like this. I was like, what is your biggest insecurity? Right? So that like opens the door. So he shared what his biggest insecurity was, and then he asked me the question in return, and I say, well, honestly, it's my psoriasis. And then he said, well, what's psoriasis? And I was like, well, you know, I'm kind of uncomfortable about it, but it's an autoimmune disease that causes these flaky patches of the skin. It was really awkward, but he accepted it, and we kind of talked more about it. So if you're not comfortable with coming right out and saying it, you can kind of do a question game as if you're trying to get to know each other, and you are trying to get to know each other, and then open it that way. For others, you may not necessarily be that comfortable up front on the first date. So just kind of gauge it by their character. I would do it like this. Like when you go out on a date with this person, how do they treat people who can't do anything for them, such as like homeless people or, you know, people they see on the street? Are they compassionate or are they nasty? Do they belittle people? How do they treat the waitress or waiter when you're out at a restaurant? Are they, how are their temperament? It's the things like that that you can kind of find out how a person's character is and how empathetic and compassionate they are to others around them. And if they can show that type of compassion to those around them, then 9 times out of 10, they'll be able to show that type of compassion to you. Or, you know, if you don't want to tell them that you have it, you can just say, you know, hey, have you ever heard of psoriasis? And then kind of get a feel then. So don't necessarily come right out and say, oh, I have it, but get a feel for their opinion on the condition or what they know about it. Because you may be surprised. You may say, hey, have you ever heard of psoriasis? And they're like, oh, yeah, I have a cousin who has it, or I have a mom who has it, or I've seen the commercials about it. And that will help your comfort level a little bit more.
Great. So we have about like 4 minutes. So we'll sum up and about this question. I'll just say that preferably, you know, being straightforward and talk about your condition is best, but of course do it in your own time.
Yes.
It's that this is a not contagious condition. I think, as you said, some people don't even know what psoriasis is. We have to teach people that this is not a contagious condition. And when you already talk about it openly, and also about sex with psoriasis, and we don't have time to talk about this issue, and maybe next webinar we will elaborate, because this is it's of a great importance. So share and share people also how, in your spouse, how is it to live with a chronic condition like that, chronic disease. People have to know how is it when you have rash, when it's in remission, when it's coming back to you, and how it's itching. People have to understand it, and it always makes it more normal, more reasonable, more possible to deal with. And of course, you already developed ways to deal with that. So please remember, and I think, Alisha, you mentioned it, and I think it's amazing, because when a partner whose reaction is negative and who makes you feel uncomfortable, he is not the right one. Don't be afraid to go on to the next one. As you mentioned,
Yes.
50 more are waiting for you when you open the next door. So, don't despair. Just keep on going and look for others who would be able to, love you the way you are. Also, I think that people have to remember that having psoriasis, after all, is positive. As I mentioned before, people with psoriasis have deeper thinking, they look for the right and more important thing. And when you deal with a condition like that, I think when you find a partner who can, deal with that, you would be able to deal with many other things. It's not maybe the honeymoon of the beginning that usually people experience, and you feel like everything is so perfect. It's good that you see people, as you mentioned, in their vulnerability. This is a true relationship.
And the other thing that I would like to encourage all the ladies out there, if you're living with psoriasis, what I want to encourage you to do is to join support groups such as 7 Chairs, also Todd Bello, Overcoming Psoriasis. We've done some live interviews with him, and find people with psoriasis who are in marriages, who are in relationships, because that will give the encouragement that you need to know you can find love with your condition. You can also get advice from them to kind of learn how to navigate your dating life, and to learn the ups and downs and the challenges that they have with their spouses, and how they get through it and how they overcome it. So that's another suggestion that I would give to you, because it will make you realize that love is possible.
Definitely. We see it, Alisha, in our groups, that people who are dating are in the same group with people who are already married and found the love of their lives, and you can see it's possible. And of course, everyone deserves, to be loved, and
Yes.
everyone should keep on, searching for that. And we end our webinar, and we do invite you to join our 7 Chairs support groups, to pull up a chair and be with us to get support. I thank you so much, Alisha, for your input, for your knowledge, and for your personal experience. I think it's inspiring other women. There's so much to talk about, but we'll finish here, and I really thank you for that. And thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. If you ever want to chat with me, I'm in the support group through 7 Chairs that happens on Thursday at 9 p.m. And you can always find me anywhere at Alisha M. Bridges, whether that's Instagram, Twitter, or my website. So please, if you really enjoyed this, or if you have any other questions or concerns or need advice, make sure you look me up, and I will be glad to chat with you.
Great. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.